You guys create more content than I do, for sure.
I know, definitely Dan with the nudie stuff.
Oh god, doesn't take you long, does it?
No.
Go on, let's press play.
Welcome to the FPLUSA Press Play Podcast. It's a dandy game week to be tuning in. The banter is great. The vibes are solid. You got Bux and Blackwolf, and we're joined by a special guest. Not special ed, but he's still special in our books, and that's Paz. Paz, finally, we suckered you into coming on the podcast. How the hell are you, baby?
What's up, guys? I am doing great. I'm finally happy to be back here after the unfortunate events of last week. And then I'm just happy to be back 3 years in a row, 3 seasons in a row, actually. It's been good. It's been good to be here.
Dan, say hi to your fans.
Hello to all my fans, especially Paz. Paz, you know you've missed me. You know you've wanted to look at this face for so long now. So here it is, brother. I'm in a good mood because I finally had a good game week. So let's bring the energy to this pod.
Absolutely. Now, we just need to ask Paz, put him on blast a little bit. How was the Miami Heat game? How was the strip club afterwards? Tell us that you didn't miss being on this podcast just a little bit last week when you kind of ditched us.
Man, the game was great. But no, I did rather be here with you guys, honestly. I much rather be here talking FPL than at a game, but it was a decent game. It was a decent game. But happy we made it work. Especially see now we all had a good week. So I'm not gonna ruin anything, no spoilers, but the vibes are better this week.
That's for sure. But what the listeners can't see is you mimicking throwing those dollar bills. And I know that's what you were doing late night after celebrating the Miami Heat game and avoiding the two of us. But we've trapped you. We've reeled you back in, and you're here on the podcast. So you got three of the best content creators this side of the Atlantic here in hashtag FPLUSA. And we're going to dive in to recap the action in game week 10. Let's go to you first, Paz. Looks like you're top of the table. How'd you score in game week 10?
Yeah, I got 64 points, which was a green arrow finally back in the top 1 million. Honestly, I felt good going into the week, like going into the changes I made, going into Salah captain, take out Holland. That helped me a lot. And then finally not benching Morgan Rogers. I've been benching him for his last 2 goals, and finally he scored. Even though I own Poro, I'm like, I knew it was probably better for me to play someone else, more upside, but I was like, I can't live with myself if it's another Rogers goal on the bench. It's just so brutal to look at. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll go and play Rogers and then against Poro. So that was good. Rogers did the thing. Solanke finally came through after a bunch of pain. And then the whole Salah captain got me a great week, honestly. I'm very, very happy going into game week 11.
It sounds like you're well set up with Salah already in place and without the concerns of this Nolland. Holland right now could be flagged going into game week 11. He seems to have re-injured the suspected knock that he took in game week 10. So Paz, bravo to you. Well-deserved green arrow. Let's go to you, Dan. You channeled some Bucks Wild energy with the transfers, and you lived to tell the tale. How'd it go?
Yeah, I expected a huge red arrow this week because I took a -8 because I was tired of my team. I've had injuries for like 6 game weeks. I had Minter on the bench, Andy Robertson, no bench cover whatsoever. I didn't have Salah, so I was like, fuck it, I'm just going to take a big hit. Paz actually persuaded me. He was like, you know what, just have some fun. Fuck it, just go for it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. So I took a -8. And I brought in Salah for captaincy. I brought in Bruno Fernandes, who got me a penalty goal and 10 points. And I brought in Raul. I know Raul didn't do anything, but still, I finished on 63 points. So that's 55 points after the hit. and I went from 3.5 million to 2.5 million. So it was a 1 million green arrow for me after a -8, which is pretty crazy. But more importantly, my team is now really well set up going forward. So I feel like it was worth it. I unfortunately did bench Rodgers. That was the only downside to this week. But I'm looking at my team. I don't know who I would have played him over. So it's no big deal.
All right. Not crying about lost points on the cutting room floor. Let's talk about Down Under Brian. He was drinking and watching the Sunday fixtures at a casino. There are some great stories that we will share once he is back live on the podcast. He lands on 54 points, and I complete the set. I land on 45 points, which is far less good than the three of you all, but still enough for a meager green arrow. So I will take it any way they come. The average points in game week 10 were 39. So this has been a really challenging FPL season, to say the least. But the four of us all land on green arrows, so we cannot complain altogether too much. But one manager who's absolutely flying. Dan, you want to shout out the manager of the game week in our free-to-enter Press Play Pod Premiership League?
I swear, you always give me the person who has a difficult name to pronounce. I'm going to have Paz help me pronounce this one. So the leader this week was Kante FC on 74 points. Hernandez, how do you say that surname, Paz?
Yeah, so it should be no, that's Kante.
Kante. I wasn't far.
Yeah, no, you were good. You were good. I
There
mean, that's why he named it Kante too, Kante FC. So he put that out there.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, so he finished on 74 points this week. He had Salah captain. He had Aina, who got 15 points for Nottingham Forest. Morgan Rogers with the 9 points. Brennan Johnson with 8 points. Chris fucking Wood yet again scoring, and Gvardiol yet again scoring. These two guys, I'm tired of them. Paz is like face palming. I think he's tired of them too. But anyway, well done to Kante. He goes up to CK overall rank. So he's having a great season.
Yeah, and we do want to give flowers to the overall leader right now. Just give a shout out. They're on 690 points right now. OR inside the top 2,000 in the world. That is Team Sorojdin. Talk about a hard name. I did it to myself here, Dan, but congrats to you. Absolutely flying. A full 12 points ahead of team in second place. And there's a lot of really top managers having blinders of a start to the campaign in our free to enter mini league. So it's going to be more competitive than ever to take home that free kit at the end of the season. Best of luck to all 500 and change managers who got involved in that contest. Think it's time for our first break. When we come back, we'll chop it up and rewind the action to game week 10.
All right, welcome back. Let's fire up the DVR because we're going to hit rewind on game week 10, starting with Newcastle versus Arsenal. I think we're probably already, all of us are surprised at this result, 1-0 to Newcastle. Isaac scoring the goal. He got 9 points with the 3 bonus points. A clean sheet for Newcastle, which I don't think anyone expected. And for those of us like me, and I think I'm the only one out of the three of us actually who has double defense for Arsenal. Yet another clean sheet wipe for them. So how do we feel about this game?
Yeah, this is a weird game. I mean, I thought Arsenal didn't do anything attacking wise, right? Like I just felt like anytime they were going forward, I didn't think they were gonna score anytime. Like I never felt like don't let Saka score, right? Because sometimes I didn't own Saka and he still had some owners. So I was like, I never felt threatened by him or by Havertz. The only thing I felt threatened was just Gabriel bullet header. That's the only time I was like, here we go, corner. Yeah, they look awful without Odegaard. I'm not sure what's going on there. And defensively, I mean, the stats say they're great, but they just reminds me of Man City. Just find of last year, they find a way to concede somehow. Like just one chance, they just their XG conceded is always less than 1, but just that one chance, boom, goal, and that's brutal. At least Raya got a save point, which was good at the end, but yeah, it's hard owning double defense right now. I mean, or any defender from Arsenal.
You're right though. Like they're conceding 1 goal, sometimes 2 goals each game from very low XG. They could have easily came away 3 or 4 clean sheets from these games. They're just like Man City. They find a way to concede. And it's very, very frustrating. But going to your point about their attack, they actually got 0.00 XG shots on target against Newcastle, which is shocking for an Arsenal team. So like you said, I really do think they're suffering without Odegaard.
Yeah, the last thing about that with the double defense, I'm so pissed. Last year I never owned double defense, right? They had so many clean sheets, and this time I'm like, all right, wildcard 6, I'm gonna go with double defense. 3 easy games. Like I couldn't see not going with them, and yeah, they've awful, honestly.
You could have picked double Bournemouth defense, who had both Arsenal and Man City and got more points than the double Arsenal defense. That's just how crazy it's gone.
Yeah, it's a brutal swing for Arsenal, and the injuries are definitely taking a toll. Now, one thing, Paz, I want to ask you, did any of the Newcastle cheap defenders jump out to you? I mean, they're about to start a pretty positive fixture run, and Hall gets 8 points. He's 4.3 million, and Livramento gets 7 points. He's 4.5 million. Either of those guys on the menu for you?
The one I'm very interested about was that I saw him getting a lot of starts in a row is Lewis Hall. I mean, he's just a bonus machine when he does play and takes some set pieces. So I think that would be a great option. And he's only 4.3, so that's just a crazy price. I think not for me right now because I don't see myself making a defender transfer right now. But I think people on wildcard 12 can definitely look at them because they are coming on better fixtures right now for Newcastle. So I think Lewis Hall would definitely be one that I would look at.
Awesome. That's a great tidbit from Paz. Now let's switch gears. Clearly, Arsenal suffered in this match, and we all suffered having to watch their attack just do absolutely nothing. But Man City also in a period of suffering right now. They lose at Bournemouth for the first time in the history of AFC Bournemouth. So congrats to the Cherry supporters who were in the building. I bet they had a couple extra pints after that match. 2-1 victory. And it was actually far more dominant than that. I think watching the game, the scoreline does not reflect how much better the Cherries were than Man City on the day. And I'm the lone idiot in the mix who captained Haaland. I did not do the double swap for Salah, and I paid the price because despite having 1.4 XG, 1.04 XG, he blanks again. So this is the second straight match where he has over 1 XG and does not convert a big haul. So he ends up on 2 points. Huge party for anyone who sold and brought in Salah and then gave the armband. That is a massive 14-point swing to the good. And yeah, that sucked. What's up, Dan? What did you see in this match?
I just want to say something about Haaland, though. It's not like he suddenly became a bad asset. Quite clearly, one of the top 2 assets in the game. To come away with 8 points from these 2 games is ridiculous, given the XG that he had. So he could have easily came away as the top point scorer in both of those game weeks. Salah had that crazy, ridiculous goal later in the game to get his 9 points, but that could have so easily been the other way around, and then no one would be having this conversation. You'd have a bunch of content creators figuring out how to get Haaland back into their team. So I don't think Haaland is like someone you have to sell. So you don't have to get Salah in if you don't want to. I fully expect Haaland at some point to start scoring again, and people are going to worry about not having him. I'm telling you, watching that game was terrifying because he missed a bunch of sitters that usually he would score easily. And I imagine it's going to start happening again. So I wouldn't beat yourself up. Anyone that kept him and captained him, I think it was a great decision. It just didn't go your way.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think from a bigger picture, pretty clear that Manchester City are not the same team right now.
No.
Missing Rodri, missing KDB. Foden doesn't seem like he's fully up to gear. And of course, they also don't have Doku or Grealish in full fitness right now. So there's just a lot of creativity that's lacking. And Haaland is getting the chances, but he's having to do a little bit more. And I feel like when he has to take that extra touch, he all of a sudden goes from being a bona fide, clear best player in the FPL game to being, one of the 5 best players. And of course, at 15.3 million where he's currently priced. You want the kind of big swing dick, the clear best player at that price. And right now we're not quite getting the returns on that price. Paz, did you see anything in this game?
Yeah, same thing like Dan said. I mean, the XG's there, the chances were there for him to score. He's gonna score points, right? I mean, it was not easy watch, but I did like what you say about him taking the extra touch. I don't feel threatened when like he gets the ball like that. Like it's mostly like when the crosses come in or like it's weird. Like that from that 1.04 XG, like how much was that last chance that he had at the end? Like I think that was what 0.70. Like that was a big chance. Other than that, I don't remember him doing as much. But I mean, he's always a threat, and I think he's always, against Brighton. They play that high line. It's gonna be very terrifying to watch. And then moving forward against Spurs, like another defense that always concedes. I don't know if making the switch right now would be. That's kind of my takeaway from the game. Like if I still have Haaland, I just don't know if I'll make the switch.
All right, that's music to my ears. Dan, you want to have a last point on the Haaland-Nolan conversation?
I mean, I agree with all the points here. The fact is he's by far the most expensive player in the game. It's what you can do with the funds when you take him out. I just think that if you have him and you want to keep him, that's totally fine. I don't think you should panic take him out and rip up your team unless you feel you really don't want him. Someone like me who had so many injuries, who was really poorly set up going forward, it made sense for me. But if your team is already well structured and you want Haaland in your team, I don't think it's a bad decision to keep him. Come game week 14, they have a ridiculous run of games against teams who all concede a lot. And they're most likely going to have Kevin De Bruyne back. Foden might be doing well again. You'll have the likes of Doku back, Grealish back. And I just can't see him not getting a fuck ton of goals. And I guarantee a lot of people are going to start panicking that they don't have him. Especially those that don't have a wild card. So, there's so many different ways to play this game. That's all I want to say. My little anecdote.
All right, speaking of guys that are far from being the most expensive in the game, Antoine Semenyo, star of the show in this match. He had 10 huge points, stuck on a lot of managers' benches this game week with the tough fixture against City. He gets a goal and 3 bonus points. I thought he was brilliant, and I don't want to fluff your feathers too much, Paz, but you shouted out Kirkez. 9 points. 2 assists, the bonus point. He's a $4.4 million enabler, and he really came good. That must feel good.
Kirk it's funny because it's kind of been a thing since last season when I brought him in that double game week 28, and he I'm pretty sure he came off at halftime in the first game and didn't play the second game at all. And ever since then, it's just been funny every time he does something. I've been just kind of like watching him, and he's very attacking, and this season, like he just has been nailed in that team. Like last season, it was very inconsistent, but that is someone I would look at from their defense. I think it offers the most upside if you're trying to go there. And then the Semenyo part, it was funny that you mentioned that because I was talking to Dan when he asked me like, "Are you making the switch to Salah?" And then I was like, "I'm not sure because I just don't want to play Semenyo. I said I'm gonna do it because I don't want to play Semenyo." And then he scores a 10-pointer, and I was like, "Of course he does." Against City, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a great piece moving forward. Like this week, I'm probably gonna play him. So if I stay with him, so he's only on 4 yellow cards. That's the only issue.
I think Semenyo, if you look at the fixtures, you could play him and start him for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the next 10 games, you could quite comfortably start him. Apart from the one he's most likely going to be suspended for, I would be happy starting him in all 10 of those fixtures. I think he's a great asset, and I'm kind of worried not having him, to be honest, because he racks up a lot of XG. He's almost their talisman this season. I like him as a pick a lot.
Yeah, I'm jealous you have him in place, Past. He's someone who's on my short watch list going into game week 11. Another player who should be making lots of watch lists if managers don't already have him in place is Gvardiol. Now, we got to talk about this fucking guy.
Yeah, man, that guy is. I'm sick of that guy.
Yeah, he's next level. 7 points this game week. His 3rd goal since game week 6. Notably, that's more than Haaland. and he has 26 FPL points in just the last 3 game weeks. Brilliant for managers like Brian, who already have him and are starting him. But that has to really stink for managers who went Gvardiol to Gabriel on wildcard 6. Damn, they are really suffering and feeling those points, just kind of shitting out of their team. They're not getting any credit for it.
I can't stand watching Man City when this guy plays. He just infuriates me. He cost me my top 10k last season, and now he's costing me again. So fuck everyone that owns him. Fuck him. Move along.
All right, we won't dwell for Dan's health sake. Let's leave
I'm
Josko
gonna
in the
play
gutter.
the half guard. I'm gonna play that. Yeah. Move along.
I'm in your corner. Let's go to the top of the table where Liverpool continue to shine. They did the magic at Anfield once again and slot just ahead of Brighton 2-1. Now we got to give all the flowers to Salah. That game-winning goal was so vintage. It was so classic. It's why he's probably one of the best wingers of all time in the Premier League. He gets the game-winning goal, 3 bonus, and 9 huge FPL points for managers like the two of you who made the swap, and even more points for anyone who captained him. So that's mega. And I guess you have him in place now. Liverpool, they're probably going to keep cooking, right?
I assume so. I mean, they've looked great attacking wise, and I mean, he's just so creative, right? Like that's kind of difference of like owning him, a player like him, and a player like Haaland. Like I just like seeing people on the ball. Like with Haaland, you're just waiting on the ball to get to him. Here, you kind of just see him, doing everything, like on the counter, getting the ball. So that's been fun to own at this point. And yeah, I mean, the goal was great. I don't remember him having that many chances outside of that, like goal wise. I saw him create a few, but yeah, I have him in place, and I think he's a great captain. He's one of the best captains every single time he's at home. I think he's probably the best captain when he's at home because he's just a different level when the Anfield crowd gets behind him.
I think that's one of the differences between Salah this season and Salah last season. He's much more of a creator this season. He misses a lot less big chances. So he's also a bonus points monster this season as well. So if he gets a goal, you can almost guarantee he's going to get at least 1 bonus point as well, which is a lot different to how he was last season. So for that reason alone, it makes him a better asset, I feel.
Yeah, great shout. And Liverpool, again, they're clear at the top of the table, and deservedly so. Best ever start for a manager in their first 10 matches in charge in the Premier League for Liverpool. Slot has now bested Klopp in that department. So bravo to any Liverpool supporters. Pat yourself on the back through the first part of the season. Let's go to the surprise team, I think, in the Premier League right now, and that's Nottingham Forest. They absolutely destroy, chopping down the hammers 3-0. And Dan, a credit to us. I feel like we were a couple game weeks early. We were just throwing the love at Nuno. I think it was last week on our podcast. And man, they made us look so smart. I know you're probably used to it, but for me, it felt so good. And I think they're clearly one of the top 3 defenses in the Premier League so far. And Chris Wood. Damn it, I hate Brian for talking me out of having this guy from game week 1. What an asshole.
Yeah, Nottingham Forest are just such a good team this year. They're so well drilled. They create chances. They have a good defense. I'm jealous of them, to be honest, as a Wolves fan. But, they seem to just keep ticking along. They keep getting results. And yeah, Chris Wood, I feel the same about him as I do about Gvardiol. It's just infuriating every single week watching him get a goal. He doesn't even need to touch the ball for the whole game. He gets 1 chance, he scores it, boom. All the bonus points sometimes as well. I know he only got 7 this week, but usually it's 9. And I know, Paz, you must be pissed because I know you took him out on your wild card for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So I'll let you speak more about Wood.
Yeah. So in game week 1, I think I started talking about Wood in July. I was like, oh, he's a great. When the prices came out, I was like, yeah, I'm all locked in Wood, and I went with Wood in game week 1 because Awoniyi was hurt, so I'm like, oh, his minutes are good. And then I started watching a lot of Forest games, and why led me to take him out was that I saw him getting subbed off at 70 often, at the 70 minutes. So I'm like, and then I saw Calvert-Lewin getting the 90 minutes, so I'm like, okay, that's good. And then I always would see that Wood gets only 1 goal, right? So I'm like, Is he hauling that much? Nottingham Forest is more like a defensive team. And then I think DCL had gotten 12 points, a goal and assist, and playing 90 minutes and cheap or something like I need money somewhere else. So that's kind of a corner I took. And he also better games, right? He had games against 3 of the promoted sides. Like Chris Wood still in game week since had Chelsea coming up away. So I'm like, that's another one I have to deal with. And then he had a few tougher fixtures than Calvert-Lewin. So yeah, it's been brutal. Like every time people score, it's like, man, like I had him. And now it's like I'm stuck with someone that's playing less minutes, less points. It's awful.
Yeah, and Chris Wood keeps hurting each of the 3 of our ranks each and every game week, it feels like. Now, the fixtures are turning for Forest. They're about to be less good. So I wonder if we might have missed the boat to jump on some of their assets. But pretty clear right now that Chris Wood is the best budget forward for the price and the value that you're getting. And kind of shocking, Sells seems like the best value for the budget goalkeepers. And I don't think that's anywhere close to being a question. Do you, Dan? You're shaking your head about the Wood shout.
Well, yeah, because Wood is now 6.4 million, I believe. If he was 6 million, I would agree with you. But now he's only, what, 0.2 behind Cunha, who I think is a far better asset for the next 12 game weeks, in my opinion. That could be my Wolves bias coming in.
Yeah, but you're also predicting what's to come. So far, I think Wood has smashed it beyond expectation. You have to just be running to the bank with some of the points he's putting into FPL teams.
Of course, if you're speaking from game week 1 till now, he's easily the best choice. If you started with him and kept him all the way through, you're likely in the top 100K. Maybe.
Absolutely. And then almost the top scorer this game week was Ola Aina. And I know I was shouting him out last episode as my pick for the best budget defender options. 4.5 million now. He got 15 points, a goal, 3 bonus, and a clean sheet. And I have to say, it was his first goal in like over a season and a half. So that is just like nailing the timing on my end. But Forest are no joke, and they absolutely should not be considered a green fixture on the fixture difficulty rating. They are one of the toughest teams to play, especially when you're traveling to the city ground. Paz, you want to have a last word on the Forest situation?
No, same as you guys. I mean, I think they're I think we've missed the boat. That's a good point that you made. I think it's the fixtures are turning. There's better assets elsewhere. If you went Aina last week, you got the 15 points, which is great. But I still think they're going to be a better option moving. When their fixtures turn again. Not right now. I wouldn't go for them.
And do we want to just pile on West Ham? I mean, they might be one of the teams to target for the next stretch. Their defense looks absolutely woeful.
They're definitely a team to target. They just can't defend for shit. If you're at home to West Ham, I feel like that's a great shout for a captaincy at this point. They're just so bad defensively.
One thing I did want to ask Dan, like, because he coached Wolves before. Were they that bad defensively? I don't remember him. I think they were doing well with Wolves before he left, right?
He was doing okay, but he lost the dressing room. That was part of the problem. He was disliked by a lot of people, and I feel like maybe that's happening at West Ham. I don't know enough about it. But he's not as good of a manager as he seems. I really don't think so.
Next up, let's go to Spurs. They slice and dice the villains 4-1. Rodgers was the star for Villa. He gets 9 points, a goal, and 2 bonus. Looked like we might be in more trouble as he left early with a knock, but clearly okay. He was yelling at Unai Emery that he didn't want to come off. Love to see that. But the star of the show was Dominic Solanke. Fucking finally. I'm so glad I did not rage transfer him out before this match. He rewards my patience. He rewards Paz's patience. 16 points, 2 goals, 1 assist, and 3 bonus points. Top scorer of the game week. Felt good.
Yeah, I felt like he was great. I know there was a lot of people saying that he wasn't taking enough shots. From what I saw, he was very involved. I mean, he was taking shots. He was in the box. I think it was a pretty easy hold, even without hindsight. Like I think with Ipswich away, I mean at home next week, like it just made too much sense to hold him. And then if you wanted to get rid, it was kind of the Man City game. But yeah, he finally returned, and hopefully he can continue the next 2 weeks before people start taking him out.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, the only reason I kept him was for that Ipswich at home game. Because it does logically make sense to take him out before Man City away if you're going to take him out. I feel like if their fixtures were a little different, he would have been a lot more mass sold this week. So I think a lot of us got kind of lucky that that's how the fixtures fell, that we kept him. But yeah, 16 points was lovely, especially at my rank when he's only owned by like 9% of people. So it was great.
Yeah, we pat ourselves on the back for that one. But Spurs come away in a little bit of rough shape after this match. They see Romero and Richarlison both go off injured, and Son comes off early with a free 60-minute hook. So he just gets the assist and 4 points.
That was clearly pre-planned, though, by Angie, I feel, because he's just coming back from a hamstring injury. I feel like they're just managing his minutes after that injury, because he looked really pissed that he was coming off. It was also at a weird time, because he was looking so...
It was at like the 54th minute. It was so bizarre. I don't know if it was pre-planned. I think that was probably the physio. The physio was getting in Angie's ear, because if it was pre-planned, Son wouldn't have reacted like that. You have to think.
That's a good point. But yeah, I feel, let's not say pre-planned then. I feel like it was purely to manage his minutes after the long injury, because he was looking really, really good. He was getting a lot of chances. He got that assist right before. And it's a shame he didn't stay on, because I feel like he might have got one of those goals or another assist. And I own him, so that would have been nice. However, I'm not worried about his minutes next week at home to Ipswich. I'm actually tempted to captain him. We'll see how that goes.
Ooh, all right. We'll discuss that a little later in the episode. Let's switch gears. This was the Paz and Bucks rivalry matchup next. United host Chelsea. I thought this was going to be an absolute goal fest and a wonder watch for any neutrals. It was exactly the opposite. It was a complete snoozer. 1-1 draw. United get a penalty. Bruno Fernandes owners, especially the new ones like Dan, must just be absolutely celebrating. They don't have to suffer through any of the blanks. And he notches his first goal of the season from the penalty spot and adds the 3 bonus points for good measure. So a huge 10 points. The next 3 fixtures are really why Man United are in focus right now with the new coach coming in. They play, I think it's the 3 newly promoted teams in order. So that should be jammy for points potential for FPL hauls. Are they on your radars? Are you even thinking of maybe captaining Bruno any of those matches, Dan?
No, I'm not, to be honest. He's so lowly owned that just owning him is a differential. And that's why I bought him in. At my rank, I needed a good differential. And I just felt like even the game at home to Chelsea, and then they're playing Leicester at home, then they're playing Ipswich away, and then they're playing Everton at home. I just felt like those 4 fixtures were really targetable for Man United, especially after they just fired Ten Hag. I plan on moving him out after that and getting other players in. It was purely for this next 4 game weeks. And luckily, it just immediately paid off with a penalty. But even without the penalty, he looks dangerous every game. He's infuriating to own because he should be on hauls every single game week if his teammates could just finish, which they can't. But still, I feel like I got a little lucky with those 10 points in the first week I own him. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah, for me, I feel like they are in my radar. I just don't have enough transfers to get to that point. But I think, like Dan said, like if you're looking for a differential, like if you're like, lowly ranked, your season's not going well, and you want to take a punt on that, like I think Bruno's just a perfect chance for that. Like, not a lot of people go there right now. They don't have enough transfers, and I still think the points are there for the taking. Right? It's 3 defenses that have been awful. Everton can be a tough game, but still, Bruno's just 1 penalty can change the game, and like Dan said, just that he can haul at any moment. It is infuriating to own. And if I had extra transfers, I would definitely go there, but I still think he's a great shout.
He's only owned by 7% of managers, so he's very lowly owned. Like, he got 10 points this week, and that was enough for a 500,000 rank rise for me. So he's a great differential for the next 4 game weeks. I actually think Man United in general, their defense as well, are good differentials for the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's because the other 30% of managers who had him in their game week 1 team had either deleted their FPL team entirely or smashed at least one version of their phone. But for sure, they've already smashed Bruno Fernandes out of their team a couple game weeks ago. So you really timed that brilliantly, Dan. And I think we've timed this brilliantly because up next, let's go to Wolves Corner. Wolves, this was a must-win game, according to the Blackwolf. They didn't win, but did they do enough to, get out of the doghouse? What say you? Woof, woof.
No, they didn't do enough. I'm really not happy with how they're playing right now. I've kind of lost my patience with Gary O'Neill, mainly just because of how he carries himself in interviews pre and post match. He always says the games are not must-wins. He's always complaining about the transfer window and the players they don't have. We have a crazy good team, in my opinion. I think we comfortably have a mid-table / top 10 team. Maybe I'm being biased, but I really do feel that way. We just need a manager who can get us playing good football. What I don't get is pre-season we had Pedro Lima as a new summer signing and we had Rodrigo Gomez as a new summer signing. They were playing almost every minute in pre-season and they were looking incredible. They don't get any minutes anymore. I just don't understand it. And I've been saying all season that I don't think we're going to get relegated. I think we'll be fine, but I am starting to worry now. I really am. Having said that, because this is an FPL podcast, Cunha is a fantastic asset to own. He's our talisman. He's a bonus points monster. He's going to get returns quite often in the next 12 game weeks. I really strongly feel that way. I would actually have him in my team if I could afford him. I just can't.
Paz, are you Wolves curious at all? You have any Wolves in your FPL team?
Yeah, I actually have two. I have Aid Nuri already, and then I have Cunha as well. I think I was talking to Dan I was between Jimenez and Cunha. But watching that, I only watched the 70 minutes. I had to do something after, and I wanted to watch it all. But especially that first half, like he's just involved in everything, right? Like they just look for him, and I always what kind of made it for me. Same thing I liked SA for, right? I like players that like have more routes to points, even though they can be like SA, they're not delivered. But he's on corners, free kicks, potential penalties. We just don't know. But the chance is there for that. He was great. Don't regret that move at all, and they have great fixtures. So, and Ignore too. He always looks like he's gonna get an attack in return.
Yeah, and the third guy that you shouted at as the third best asset, Strand Larson, is the one with the most points here. He gets 8 points, Cunha 6 points. They both get attacking returns. Strand Larson gets the goal and 2 bonus. Cunha gets an assist and 1 bonus point. But Palace kind of spoiled the day because they had 2 of their center backs notch goals. So it ends up in a 2-2 draw. And that's why Dan is in a little bit of a soggy sorrows, despite his team finally getting some points on the board.
That's the problem with Wolves. We score a lot of goals. I have no concerns about our ability to score goals. We really can't defend. We're terrible at defending. That's the only thing that puts me off Aina a little bit. I still recommend him as an asset, especially when he was 4.4. I think he's now gone up to 4.7. So it's a little bit more difficult to recommend him now. I still think he's a great asset, but we're going to concede most games. You're really relying on him to get an attacking return. And yes, he looks like he can get one every single game week, but you are going to get a lot of 0 and 1 pointers from him. And he's on 4 yellows.
Everyone's on 4 yellows. Who gives a shit? Let's jump in the particle accelerator. Let's jump into our second break. When we come back, we will jump into the action in game week 11.
And we're back. Let's start with the games to target for FPL halls, starting with Southampton at Wolves. We just talked about Wolves. They're at home to Southampton. This is probably the game you want them for. If you own Cunha or don't own Cunha, he's the one to go for, in my opinion. Strand Larsen is a great option as a cheaper alternative. I mean, there's not much to say, really. In terms of Wolves, it's Cunha, it's Strand Larsen, it's Aitnuri. There's really no one else to pick on that entire team. And I'm going for a 3-0 victory. I'm just going for it. This week we're going to get a 3-0 victory, I'm telling you.
Paz, what's your prediction?
3-0. I mean, I'm very excited for this game because I'm gonna be starting both of my Wolves assets. But man, like, is that clean sheet really happening? Because I want it to happen, but
I don't know.
that defense. I mean, again, hopefully, honestly, Southampton are not the best attack either. But I would love a 3-0. Cunha 2 goals, Aït-Nouri 1 goal, Cunha 2 assists. That'd be great.
Well, you're going to enjoy being a Wolves fan for one weekend. You'll see my pain for the last 35 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, this has 2-1 written all over it with a late winner in extra time for the home team, Dan. So at least I'm in your corner there. I don't know. I'm Cunha curious, to be perfectly honest, but I'm not sure that it's worth me using a transfer to move some of my other forwards. The issue with the forwards, there's just only 3 of them, and there are a lot more than 3 quality options this season. All right, we won't dwell on my transfer headaches. Let's go to the next match. Leicester traveling to Old Trafford to face Manchester United. A rejuvenated Manchester United that might not just go soft into the night this Premier League season. I think they have enough. I think they win 2-0. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. 2-0. That's what I'm going for as well. I'm thinking of bringing in one of their defenders this week for the guaranteed clean sheet. I'm just putting it out there into the world.
You're mushing it. You're playing Brian right now. Paz, you going with any Man United players? Head and heart alignment?
I don't think so, just because I don't have enough transfers. We'll touch on that later, but I mean, I don't think Leicester have. I think they're scoring every single game, right? Like they haven't been kept. I don't think no one has ever, kind of a clean sheet on them, and I think I go for 2-1. I think Man U win 2-1, just because I feel like Jamie Vardy is just gonna do the random when he plays a big six, random poke goal or something, and it's gonna be brutal. But I do like their defenders for the next 3. Diogo Dalot should be, the most nailed and probably the most attacking one, right? We saw that chance that he missed, but he does offer that. He does offer that long shot. He does love taking shots and stuff like that. So that would be a good player to go for if I was going for a Man U defender.
Do you prefer him to Mazraoui? Because I know a lot of people are looking at him as well.
I do. I mean, obviously the price difference is there, but I do think he has way more upside. So I price is not an option. I would go there, but Masraoui should be fine too, right? It's not. I don't see anyone else starting there. The only problem with Masraoui is that there is that possibility of Alessandro Martinez playing left back if they want to rest him. So that you can play Maguire and Delete, or there's more options essentially for that. I think Dalot's just nailed.
Speaking of Lissandro Martinez, what a schmuck. That was such a clear red card. Unreal that was not given.
He always
This is
does
my
that.
Chelsea bias poking through for just a moment. Now we can go to the next match, which is Ipswich at Spurs. Now, this is the moment many of us patient Solanke fans and owners have been waiting for. So, is he in consideration for the armband for either of you two? You guys both have Salah. You're spoiled for choice right now. He's in consideration right now in my bus team. Solanke has the armband.
Wow, yeah, at my rank, I have like 5 options this game week. I have Solanke, I have Son on Tottenham as well. I have Bruno Fernandes. I have Mbeumo. It should be an option this week. I feel at home he's a different level of good at home, and then Salah as well. I just feel like if there's a week to go differential with a captain, this is probably it. I just don't know if I've got the balls to do it.
Let's talk about a guy with big balls. Paz. Jimmy Butler was asking to shoot some of them at the game. Is a Spurs player getting the armband? Are you curious about that?
I only have 2, but I just don't enjoy captains that just don't have penalties, right? I mean, there is a chance that he has penalties, but now, he scores, so it's not like Son's gonna give them away if he starts. So I just don't think that that's happening. So I think, I don't know. I just have seen too many of his blanks to want to all right, he scored 2 goals in an open game. Is that going to change? So I would go for someone safer, like that has, penalty set pieces. Like I would captain Bruno over him, for example, if I had that option. Yeah, just because that safety, like as we saw last game, one penalty can give you 10 points. Sri Lanka, you don't have that. But this is the target. Like, this is the game that people are targeting. Like someone like me that has Pedro Porro, and the only reason I picked him is just because I was targeting games like this. Like, this is the one. This is the one that I need to see some hauls from all your Spurs assets.
And what's your
Captain
prediction?
Porro.
What's your prediction? Are they going to keep a clean sheet, or is this going
Yeah.
to be like a 3 or 4-1 kind of match?
No, I think it's a 3-0. I think Porro scores. I think he finally gets that bullet shot.
I bet you do.
I think he's gonna score two, honestly. I'm feeling kind of risky now. So I think he's going 2 goals and the assist. The crazy haul. And the clean sheet.
Therefore, you should captain him.
He's getting the armband.
The thing is, if I captain him, he only gets 1 point, right? I'm not Connor. Connor would captain him and get like 30 points. I'm not like that. I don't have that luck. So if I captain him, he gets 1 point, red card. Like
Do
Cancelo.
you remember the last time we captained a defender?
I haven't captained a defender since, and I
No,
don't
me
think I'm
neither.
ever gonna captain a defender. Yeah, no, I can't do that to myself again. But I have high hopes for him.
All right, I'll rain on your parade. I think this is 3-1 to the home team. No way Spurs keep a clean sheet. It is not in their DNA, and they're going to give away such a stupid and frustrating opening goal and then pour it on in the second half.
I think 2 to Tottenham.
You're so conservative, Dan. I love it. Let's go to the best matches in real life. This is going to be a really fun game week for neutral fans. I'll just blast through these. We have City going to Brighton, Villa at Liverpool, Newcastle at Forest, and a London derby, Arsenal at Chelsea. Now, unfortunately for a lot of FPL managers, that means there's a bunch of tough matches to have to navigate. So which of these 4 matches is the one you'd be comfortable riding your horses in the most?
Liverpool at home to Aston Villa, I feel. Like Paz said earlier, I just think Liverpool at home, Salah at home especially, they're just a different beast. And you saw the last game Aston Villa conceded 4 against Tottenham. So there's every chance they could do it again, especially with Europe in midweek. So that's the reason I'm kind of leaning back towards Salah a little bit for the captaincy. I think that's going to be 4-1. Again,
Whoa.
They're going to lose 4-1 twice in a row.
Whoa, another 4 goals conceded. I don't know if I agree with that. I think going under the radar, this City at Brighton match, if City were coming on into it with better form, there'd be no doubt that Haaland would be the captain. And that's kind of what I'm debating. Is it Solanke or Haaland? Who's going to feast in this match? But I think I tend to agree that the home cooking is what puts Liverpool ahead. Paz, are you going to make it 3 for 3? You think that's the best match?
I think so. I mean, Arsenal have just not looked. That would be I would go for that, right? That's like the most obvious one there. But Arsenal have not looked good. I think it's probably gonna be another cagey match with Arsenal just sitting back. I think Liverpool Villa. I mean, let's see what Villa does. I mean, they're in first place in the Champions League, right? So I think they're gonna for sure go for it, try to keep that perfect record, and maybe they're tired. But I think that's the best game, especially from an FPL point of view. I think that's the one that it's gonna be very open. I'm going for a 3-1. I mean, I also think Liverpool are gonna score a lot of points in this, a lot of goals in this match.
Man, it would be good if Trent could get some of those points for once. He keeps dodging them like crazy. Let's jump into the mailbag. We got some great contributions from the hashtag FPL community. So let's answer your questions in our mailbag. Dan, who asked the first question? Probably some really ugly guy halfway around the world.
Yeah, I've never heard of this guy. Some guy called Brian Chin, whoever the fuck that is.
Let's not help him.
But yeah, he asks, will Son play more than 70 next week following his early dismissal? He's eyeing Foden to Son for captaincy at home to Ipswich with his 1 free transfer. I don't know, but I think even if he plays 70 minutes, I think that's good enough against this Ipswich team for Son. You know, I've said multiple times now I'm leaning there myself, but I don't know if I would use a transfer to bring him in when they got Man City next week. It seems a bit short term to me.
What's your take, Paz?
Yeah, I think just for the first part of the question, I think he's gonna play more than 70. I mean, just like you guys said before, I think the sub was probably not pre-planned, it was just spoken about. I think Son was just mad the fact that he was looking more confident and he felt good, right? He's like, I didn't know if I was gonna feel this way at that point when he got subbed off. So I think he's for sure gonna be playing, I think 80 minutes from this week. And I think if you are looking at that Foden to Son move, right, into captain, that's great. But I do think you're gonna have to get him the City game and the next fixtures after that. Like you're not gonna just make that transfer and then switch him back to like Saka, for example, later, or like in game week 12. So I think if you're gonna keep Son for 4 or 5 weeks after that and you want that captaincy, then I think it's a good move. But if you're just gonna go like hopping every single week from premiums, I think it's probably not worth it.
I tend to agree. I think there's too much unknowns right now with Son. And of course, when he plays and they're fit, Spurs are an excellent attacking side, but I don't think that's such a guarantee right now. And I'm actually a little concerned with the sub and the timing of it because that makes me think that his fitness is not close to where it needs to be going 90 minutes. So that's kind of why I think Solanke could have an outside captaincy argument this game week. But Brian, all the luck's been on your side to start this season, so I'm sure it will continue with the Sun cap. And hopefully, if you have Sun in your team, you will follow Brian's lead to great effect. Let's go to the next question. My Cayman fan Matt is asking, how concerned are we about the knocks for Palmer and Rogers? Who wants to take this?
Not at all. I think they'll both be fine. I'm really not concerned about this whatsoever. Are you, Paz?
I'm not. I mean, I would not be concerned at all. You should probably. I'm a doctor, so I can go ahead and I can look at a picture. I can look at a picture online and I can tell you exactly what I mean. That was I think it was I think a tibia. It could be a tibia fracture, but I don't think so. I think he's gonna be fine. I think I would put like a certainty score of 40%. Uh, actually, no. Let me rephrase that. I'm gonna put a 90% certainty score that they're gonna start and play 90 minutes.
It looked like a grade 2 strain of his glutei mortimer in my eyes.
Oh man, and yeah, and your medical degree, random online medical degree, helped you with that. So
Yeah, I love
That'd
that
be
you guys are taking the piss. But in all seriousness, I think both these guys are okay. I'm less sure about Holland because the breaking news from today, we're recording on Monday the 4th, was that Holland went down again in training, grabbing the same leg that he seemed to injure in the match on the weekend, and they play UCL. So we'll learn a lot. This is one of those game weeks where practicing patience with your transfer moves is highly advised because we will learn so much more about who's likely to be starting in game week 11 by some of the lineups that we see in the midweek action across Europe. So stay tuned on that front, Matt. Let's go to the next question. FPL Barrister. He's asking about Cole Palmer, my guy, Cole Palmer. Wants to know if he should rip him out of his team after his blank and the potential knock, and also because he's playing against Arsenal, who's Barrister's favorite team. So
I couldn't tell if this was a joke question or not, because there's no way I would take Palmer at my team. I'm going to be bringing him in game week 12 for their insanely good run. I don't see why you would take him out this week.
nah, it's more
Arsenal, he can
fandom.
score.
It's more
Is it?
fandom than FPL here, Dan.
Then bench him.
He won't. Barrister, just start the guy, all right? You don't have to you don't have to represent him in court against Lisandro Martinez et al. But you definitely want to get the points if he gets any to make the kind of crushing blow against your Arsenal team that much less. Paz, you got a horse in this race?
there's no chance. I mean, he has to be ruled out. Even if he's ruled out for this game, I will still keep him and just bench him, right? The fixtures after this are just way too good. Like they're just way too good. I don't see it's gonna get to the point that if you don't captain Palmer in the next few weeks, he's gonna hurt your rank. So there's no way that I'm taking him out, and especially against Arsenal. I mean, you've seen Arsenal. They've conceded plenty of goals recently, so I think Chelsea and Palmer have way more than enough chance of scoring against them.
Yeah, plus Chelsea are at home, and I think if Palmer's anywhere close to fit, the guy is going to suit up and be starting. He is the most important player to any team in the Premier League, in my opinion. So I fully expect that he's going to get a full run out and at least 70, if not 75 minutes, if he can go at all.
Right, the next question is from Connor, FPL Hunt. This is kind of a bit of a gloating question in my eyes. He's put, thanks for the weekly glazing, boys. I have no dilemmas. Humble brag right there.
Yeah, nice for you, Connor.
Always, bro. I'm tired of that
Golly
guy.
jeepers.
Yeah, why is this question even there?
Because it's about me and we like talking about me.
I guess, yeah. That's the only reason, honestly.
He's put, when are hits worth it for you? And why did Dan do the big boy last week? Well, I didn't do any big boys, but I did take a -8 hits. I talked about it earlier. It's purely, I was having a really shit season. 3.5 million. I was not enjoying it. I genuinely was closer than ever to just quitting this game for a while with everything that's been going on with me. So I thought, fuck it. I'm just going to take the hit. I'm going to get a team I like. And I'm going to just reset the season in game week 11. And then it just randomly paid off. So it was well worth it.
It feels good. Being crazy is unhinged is sometimes the most fun way to play this game, Dan.
Yeah.
Take it from my experience.
I agree. But I think a better answer would be, if you're taking a hit to bring in a captain who you strongly feel is the best captain for that game week, then I think a hit is worth it.
Paz, you got 2 cents. I know you're opposed to hits in general.
Yeah, I think it just depends. Like I think last season when there was less transfers, I think I'll be more inclined to take hits. I think now with so many transfers that you can roll over, I think it's less likely that I take a hit. But I think they're worth it in the scenario. Like for example, like Dan, right? Like he had a few. I think 2 of the people that he was taking out, they're not getting you any points, right? They're not playing. So like Robo was gonna be benched, so we knew that. I mean, we didn't know that, but we more likely than not that he was gonna be benched, and then Minter wasn't playing. So when you're taking out 2 players, like it's the whole thing of that they're not playing, right? It's like it's not really a -4, it's more like a -2 if the other person's play. So that's gonna be made up quick, especially for captaincy, right? So I think that they can be worth it in a lot of situations.
That's how bad my team was. I took a -8, and I've still got Andy Robertson, and I've still got Greaves for Ipswich in my team. I took out Eze, and I took out Eze, and I took out Minter. Yeah. So guaranteed zeros. So I figured, fuck it, let's just do it and get a team I'm happy with for the next 4 or 5 weeks.
Plus, I should add that, probably 0% chance the 3 of us are winning FPL this season. I mean, that's not a major discovery here. So I think people need to remember that we're playing for fun. And at the end of the day, it's not just about copying your favorite content creator or doing the safe move. Just trust your gut. You're watching the games. Make it more enjoyable. Sometimes, you want to have a team closer to the scout team of the week than you do your current team. So I fully subscribe to just keeping the game fun and spicy. So let's go to the next question. And that's from FPL Wrangler. Pretty straightforward. Time for Isak to come in.
It's a great time to bring this guy in. I think he's a fantastic transfer in this week. I strongly feel that way. I think he's one of the best differentials in the game right now. I was talking to Paz about this yesterday, actually. Paz, what do you think?
I mean, you had me in. You had me convinced. It's funny that he said Isak in because we were giving Connor shit about, like, I think last Sunday he said that he was going to bring him in, and obviously he changed his mind. But I agree with Dan. I mean, I think he's definitely one of the best differentials because everyone's going for the cheap forwards. The price obviously dropped from where he was in the beginning of the season, but I'm considering him bring him in. I mean, I think for the Calvert-Lewin, like I didn't see enough from Jimenez that I like. I think Wood's fixtures are tough, so I think Isak is one of the best options out there right now. I just need to figure out if I'm gonna be using that money somewhere else in my midfield, of whether it's worth it of replacing that, or unless I go for a cheaper forward. Because like Joao Pedro can be an option later, or like Jackson.
I know that Wrangler is on a wildcard in 12, if I'm correct. I think if you're on a wildcard and you're going to wildcard in 12 when Isak has West Ham at home, he would definitely be on my wildcard. Definitely. He scored against Arsenal. He scored against Chelsea. Newcastle are getting their numbers back up to how they were before because they've got Gordon back fully fit as well. He has a great run of fixtures coming up. He's just as a player, he's fantastic. So I love him as an option. I kind of wish I could get him, but I just can't.
Yeah, not enough luxury transfers, but definitely a name for Game Week 12 wildcarders. Let's take our final break. When we come back, we'll discuss our transfer plans and captaincy shouts.
All right, so Bux, I think we should start with you because you're the one that has 3 free transfers this week. I'm kind of shocked that you managed to do that, knowing you. So what are you going to do this week?
Yeah, I'm shocked myself. I am going to use 1 free transfer for sure. I'm eyeing up Eze to Semenyo. I have the captaincy armband on Solanke right now. It will probably end up making its way back to Holland by the time the game week deadline rolls around. And I want to have a bunch of flexibility going into game week 12. So that's the plan right now. Keep it simple, free up a little bit more funds. I think that would have me at 1.6 million in the bank, as well as some moves to make going into game week 12. But I will be sticking with Trossard, which feels pretty disgusting. So that's the plan right now. Definitely can use all free transfers, but trying to hold my nerve here.
And who's your captain?
Right now it's Solanke, but I'm going to say for the listeners, it's going to be Holland.
Okay. Well, I have 1 free transfer this week. I'm most likely going to use it on a defender because, as I just said, I have Robertson and I have Greaves still, and I have Rico Lewis, whose minutes are always a little bit iffy. So I feel like taking Robertson out is a no-brainer for me. And I'm leaning towards putting in Dalot from Manchester United. That still gives me enough funds to do Son to Cole Palmer next week in game week 12. So that's likely what I'm going to do, unless I'm feeling Bucks world again and I just bring in a cheap defender. And then I take a hit in game week 12 to bring in Isak and Cole Palmer. That's something I am considering, but I don't think I'll go there. And my captain is currently Son, but I'd be very surprised if I did not switch that to Salah, if I'm being completely honest.
All right, before we go to our guest Paz, Brian is going to do Foden to Son captain with his 1 free transfer. Go back on vacation, Brian. We love you. We're excited for you to come back. But stop messaging us. Just enjoy time in Australia with your beautiful wife. Someone we want to enjoy less time away from FPL is Paz. We're so glad you joined the pod tonight, man. What's the plan for game week 11?
Man, it's tough. I have 1 free transfer. I have 3.3 in the bank. I have a few issues that I just don't like in my team, especially Calvert-Lewin, as many people know. Now, I have 2 options in mind. Salah's going to be my captain. I don't see myself switching from that. But one of my options that I discussed was the Calvert-Lewin to Isak move. Look at the
Like that.
Yeah, I just need to look at the transfers long term, whether I want to use that money, that money on a forward, or I can take out Morgan Rogers or Semenyo or Bruno, right? I can also do that and then have that spot for Saka or another midfielder in the future. Those are kind of my 2 options right now. I have gained 0.2 from Rogers. That's kind of putting me off. Semenyo, I just don't know. He has a great fixture and he has great fixtures coming up. So if anything, I would probably maybe do Morgan Rogers to, if I want to get Salah, to Bruno. It's not, I would probably do Calvert-Lewin to maybe Isak. I just need to figure out the money. I just didn't see any other forward that I like. Jimenez got subbed off at 70. That didn't really inspire me. Woods has tough fixtures, so I don't know. That's up in the air.
Paz, tell the listeners where they can find you on social. It's been great having you back on the pod, man.
Thanks for everyone being here. Thanks for all the listeners. And you can find me at FPL Pass on Twitter or X. And then great always being here with you guys.
We love you, man. Even if you ditched us, we still forgive you. We'd have you back on the pod. We are the FPLUSA Press Play Podcast. It's been a great episode. So great to be back in the airwaves. Nice seeing you both. Bye.
Goodbye.